Carolina is actually, hold on. Stop the cockaboose. Can we give a round of applause real quick to Justin King and the South Carolina media team for what they do? I was thinking in the ballpark the other day when 2001 came on. I don't know if anybody has caught this or not, but as it's about to run its course before the team, that like last tone hangs on for like another 5 or 6 seconds. Has anybody noticed that? And all the hoopla that has gone around it, it is far and away. There is nothing in college football that comes close to 2001 and the game day production at South Carolina. I've been meaning to do this all week. Those guys deserve an enormous pat on the back for creating what they've created inside of that ballpark. Perry, you experienced it all as a quarterback, but it is just next level good compared to anything out there right now. It's awesome. You gotta cut your mic on. Can't hear you.
It has it on.
Oh, his mic is on.
Yeah. It's weird.
Is that your maybe his volume?
It's probably not connected.
Oh, you probably have to connect it. We can see you.
Hey, while Perry
figures
that out, he's gonna switch some stuff up.
Yeah. You
I will say though that while South Carolina is crushing it in that department, there is a lot of angst and consternation out there about the way Clemson's doing their hill now, where the Clemson fans think they're ruining it. And I talked to a lot of them throughout the week, and they say it's getting worse. And I'm saying, okay,
what are they doing? What are they doing with it now?
They're slowing down the run where it's like 1 or 2 guys down the hill at a time, and it's probably a safety issue. But they were like, this team needs to be sprinting down the hill.
Dabo sprints down. I mean, look, dude, look, they've been running down that hill for how many years, and how many guys have actually gotten hurt running down the dang hill? Nobody. Stupid.
Do we have a check one too on Perry?
Well, they've already caved to the balloon. They used to release 10,000 orange balloons, and
right.
And I guess there were some ducks that were eating the balloons.
Well, you can't do that anymore. It's ruining the environment, JC.
Like
you're killing. They're eating the dogs.
They're eating the dogs.
Look,
they're eating the cats.
Look here,
the dogs.
Perry. Steven, we were at Michael's condo the other day, and Garcia did his version of that, and I was blown away at how well he nailed it. I couldn't believe it.
Get him to do it on the show. I want to hear that.
Yeah, right.
He practices a lot, so don't give him too much credit.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
They're eating the dogs.
That's become
so funny.
So,
but
yeah.
But to your point about 2001, it's electric. It's awesome. Gotten to play in some great parks. Obviously, when the road team sits in the tunnel while the home team does kind of like their home dance, just like how we run out first, and then the opponent comes out second. The 2001 transition from running out of the tunnel to the little mashup they play to the opening sandstorm, you don't beat it. You don't beat it. There are other cool things that people do. And this might just be because I grew up going to the games, but Florida State does a really cool thing where their mid-war chant as the team goes out and it rolls into the fight song, which is pretty badass. When
the Tennessee one running through the T, just to see how large that band is, and you might not have noticed Perry as a player, but like when you're in Neyland Stadium, it's like holy crap, this is a mountain of a fan base.
Yeah, it is. It's impressive. The teams in the South, they have the best warm up or pre-game run onto the field thing, and it's pretty cool. So to your point,
Perry, really quick, is that a thing that the visiting team has to go second? Because I've seen in the past where they try and like ruin the moment, but I've noticed lately it seems like South Carolina gets their moment.
Cut that off.
Yeah, they have security that kind of like blocks them off, and but they've done a good job. But when there are a couple of times where we've run out as the home team runs out, and so it's like cheers and boos, and it is really cool. That's a really
the
cool
fans.
feeling. Yeah.
The fans would go, "Yay, boo!"
Well, when
Yeah,
I was in school, that's what Carolina would come out, and within 3 seconds, other teams coming out. So the student section immediately would switch to booing. As Carolina's still coming out of the tunnel, they're booing the opposition. I'm like, let's kind of stop them from coming out.
Georgia was notorious for doing that in a lot of games. When I went 2000, 02, 04.
Well, I remember, JC. Do y'all remember '87? When Carolina said we've had enough of this, and they stretched the band all the way across the field, so Clemson ran out and they couldn't cross the field.
Now I remember, there was that was Clemson came on the field first.
Yeah, and they got.
I got to tell you, that was one of my favorite games to watch as a kid because South Carolina won, and it was a top 10 matchup. And but I remember distinctly watching that one. I mean, because when you're a kid, and back in the '80s, none of the games were on TV. If you're on TV, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And they played the whole thing, and it's still on YouTube. You can still go watch it. And I think we have a clip of it somewhere in our intro for the show, or we did, of that particular 2001. But the band did stretch all the way across the field that day. The tunnel was way over, and that was a sight to behold. I agree with you, JB, about the game day stuff. It's come a long way, and I want to credit Justin King for sure. He's a talented guy. I've known him for years. But I also want to credit somebody that got this started, and that's Steve Spurrier.
Yeah.
And if you talk to Florida people, Perry grew up in Florida. Obviously, you were a Seminole, I guess. But
yes, was a Seminole, but we still love the old ball coach.
Yeah, so he got a lot of that stuff started there too, as far as like painting, calling the stadium the Swamp, the signs, making it. If you think about before Spurrier got to Carolina, you could walk in unless you looked at the scoreboard. You didn't even know South Carolina played football there at Williams-Brice. Now it's all this garnet and black. And, I think a lot of times we talk about him in terms of play caller and good head coach and all this other stuff. But then those ancillary things that he brought to the table too at all the two major programs he's been at, or the two SEC programs he's been at, are invaluable and timeless. And
he's
I just want to
guy.
I want to give him credit for that, because I mean, he got here. He's like, Mike McGee, we need to put some signs up in here.
Somebody put some
honor our history. Yeah, some color. There's no garnet and black. And so congratulations. And
hate these talents up here.
And now coaches use it as selling points. They look at the wrapper on the stadium, on the ramps, say your name could be up there. Kyle Kennard's name could be up there after this year.
Might be.
And now you have Tanner's doing the thing with the numbers up on the prep. I mean, that's a home stadium. That's what college football should be about. I don't know who dropped the ball before, but I'm just glad to see it happen, because it's always been a tough place to play, but it's night and day more awesome and tough these days.
I always go back to the Click Clack and the Pirates of the Caribbean. Those were fun times.
I still wish instead of Shane, I still wish they had like just the head ball, because he started it. Just the head ball coach up there. It's time for Carolina football every single game.
Perry, call Coach Muschamp. I think we need to get Muschamp's F-bomb one up there.
F-bomb up there. But no,
that one was amazing.
They did.
That was awesome. I wish they would have played that.
Yeah. I know they should have.
Unreal. But I just
who got fired for that?
Clemson plays Frank Howard's voice. You keep your filthy hands off me, rock. Yeah, so why not have Steve Spurrier? Time for Carolina football. Shoot.
Well, it is time. It is time to talk Carolina football with Perry. Before we get to on the field stuff, Perry, we've seen in the last 24 hours some really interesting news in college football. Players dipping out, deciding that they're going to redshirt so they can transfer. We got kids say they're being promised all this money and not receiving the money.
Yep.
More to that story, I'm sure. One of the things that has come out about this program in the last couple of days, again, credit to the social media team for exposing these stories, is one like Robbie Ashford, for instance. I saw his mom yesterday on Twitter, who was just publicly gloating about Mike Shula, Shane Beamer, and Dowell Loggins, and how they have treated their son and developed him in 8 months since he's been here as a player and as a person. We saw that on display the other night. But this also goes back to this program. Shane tries to tell everybody this all the time, and I think people kind of glaze over it now because he's been here for a few years and they've heard it a lot, but it actually is very true. They run the type of program you want to run in Columbia. Not to say there might not be a kid that dips out. He might.
Yeah.
And that could happen everywhere, but it seems like JC would know this. It seems like they're recruiting kids the right way. They're promising them an opportunity. And all those things do equate to wins. And I think here they are at 3-1. They had one stolen from them, but they got a pretty damn good football team, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I think it's a credit to Coach Beamer and his vision for the program, right? He hasn't deterred from it. His vision was that he wants the team to be a team. He wants them to be together, not a combination of individuals. And we're seeing that regardless of wins and losses, right? I don't want to echo everything that he says, but I think it does speak volumes, whether you can take whatever angle you want. But when you have somebody who left your program and then came back, I think the fact that he said, I didn't play as much at the other school. So if I'm going to go to a place where I might not play, a ton, but I still, am very comfortable and I feel at home, I'm going to go back there. And the fact that they're going to take me back, I think that speaks volumes. And you watch the guys play. I don't think anybody has ever questioned the effort that a team plays with while they've been under Coach Beamer. And it's good to see it kind of coming together. Now, obviously, we got a long season ahead and things could go off the rails, but things right now, from the average person's eye, they look pretty good. The team's playing well, but you do, because you don't hear every program and every transfer say like, I came in here and felt at home and everybody treats me well. And the parents are talking about how well they're treated by the coaches and how well the team gets along together. I think that's special. And, it's not everywhere. Not every program is like that. Not every coaching staff has teams that are like that. And when you have a team that has togetherness, you have a better shot of playing well than when you don't, even with better players, because it really is such a team sport. Because if you're willing to run through a brick wall for the guy next to you, and I know it sounds so cliche, but guys, it's so important when your best friend is the linebacker and you're the quarterback, or your best friend is the left tackle and you're the quarterback, you want to do a little bit extra, right? Like you're blocking some guy who's trying to knock the crap out of your best friend. You're going to have a little bit more skin in the game to protect him, right? Or as a quarterback, like, your best friend is a receiver blocking downfield and you're running to the sticks, but you see somebody going, you're going to be more inclined to be like, I'm going to drive for him to get that first down instead of just kind of bowing out of bounds or sliding and take a 4th and 1. So when you have that it plays a role. It's cognizant in the team that you have, and it results to wins. I know Coach Spurrier used to talk about all the time that he wanted us. I mean, he changed the rule mid my sophomore year, I think, and he was like, you know what, no more underclassmen off campus. You guys are on campus. You're living together. You're developing that bond. So when you get out onto the field, you're gonna have that. I don't even know what you would call it. You're just gonna have the camaraderie to go out and play hard. You listen to the great teams that we had when I first got to South Carolina, and when Garcia was playing and Connor. Listening to those guys talk, the camaraderie and togetherness those teams had they were unbreakable, still best friends, all of them to this day. And I look at when I first got there, and I have some of my best friends are from when I played, but as time went along, the team didn't have that same togetherness, and the result showed on the field. And what I see now is I see that togetherness coming back, and you're seeing really good results.
And it's being happy for the other guy in the quarterback room, right, Perry? It's competitive in practice, and you want to be the best, but at the same time, you got to love on your brother, and that's your brother right there, and be ready when your time comes to step up.
Yeah, that's right. No, you're spot on. I loved what Connor said. I thought that he said in a little Gamecock round table quarterback thing that we did was that the quarterback room is a microcosm of the team. If you have a fractured room, there are chances that you'll have a fractured team. And I'll tell you, sitting back and thinking about when I was there to how it was, and then where I felt like it was heading when I was leaving, was in a really good position, right? I got there, it was Connor and Dylan, and they had their thing, and then it was me and Brendan Nosovich and Skarnecchia came in, and we had a good tight-knit group. Then 15 came, and it kind of got a little broken. Had some new faces in there and some other things that just didn't mesh. And then some of those folks ended up moving on to go different school, different position, whatever the case might be. 16, we kind of started having that back together, right? It was me and Jake Bentley and Brendan McElwain, and they called me dad. And, I was a fifth-year senior, and they were true freshmen, right? And then Skarnecchia, he was a part of that mix too. And we just, man, we had such a great room, and, we didn't have some kind of elite team, but you could see we were on the trajectory. And the next year they ended up going 9-4, 10-3, or whatever the heck it was. But they played really good football. And I think that it is the togetherness you have in that room. It seems like Ashford and Sellers and Dante Reno and Bevel have a really good tight knit group. To see them celebrate together when they all score. It's rare, guys. I'm telling you, it's rare, because quarterback it's a caddy position, dude. Especially when you throw in the transfer portal with all the money. It's painful because only one guy plays, right? So
yeah, well, that's how it should be. To your point, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Pat and Steven already this week. So here we are, first bye week of the season. Shane Beamer, by the way, got the kids out yesterday, and they were going to practice today. That was a little bit of a surprise. He said, y'all get out of here and go take some time off. So hopefully it's not like the movie Armageddon. Yeah. Hopefully everybody returns. Nobody's trying to get the white horse or anything like that.
The white horse. What do you got on the white horse? That was
the in the movie Armageddon.
In Armageddon, that's the strip club.
What one guy? No, he said one guy wants to stay in a room at the White Horse. White House. Remember the big White House?
The
White House. Sorry. Yeah.
Takes out that.
I thought that was the strip
club.
Not
too worried about this.
No. But so I'm going to ask you the same question I asked those guys. Offensively, give us a diagnosis after 4 games. Where you go back to where you were mentally after week 1. What did I see? And now after week 4, and give us a comparison.
Yeah, I want to go back even before that. And I mean, I try to remember either the dumbass predictions I make or the synopsis that I try to give before the season starts to see if I have any clue what I'm talking about. And more times than not, I don't. But what I have loved to see is I think, honestly, Dowell Loggins is not getting enough credit right now. He is absolutely kicking ass. And I'm having spent 2 years as a play caller and having been not skeptical, but worried, how does a guy that has done pro style offense his entire career get 2 dual threat quarterbacks, right, that are going to really be taking the majority of the snaps? And I thought he's been brilliant. I think he may have run Lenoris a little too much in week 1, but we're being nitpicky here. I think he's trying to test the waters and see what he can get away with, see what he can't, see what Lenoris's body's capable of handling. From a week 1 perspective, I don't think the play calling was bad. I think that we just first game of the season, just kind of in a rut and didn't really get clicking. I think Lenoris played a little bit nervous, and he admitted it, that he just felt a little jumpy were the words he used. I thought that was really mature of him to identify that and be aware that he had that. Offensively, I think, we've got to be a little bit more consistent on running the football, but the way they've used Ashford in the run game, Sellers, Rocket, I love that we got 5 backs got carries the other night. Receivers are stepping up. It's kind of still by committee. I think, going into the year, I said that Jared Brown was going to lead in catches and Simon in touchdowns. And you look at the true freshman from Greenville, Mazio Bennett's playing unbelievable football right now for a true freshman. And, I'm impressed with that crew. Coach Furrier's done a phenomenal job. And just collectively, I thought the offensive staff has been excellent. I think that, as we've talked about, the Coach Elliott influence is on this offense with the amount of zone read and inside zone and pin and pull that we're seeing. That's a Coach Elliott special. But Coach Elliott's offenses are geared around the quarterbacks that we have now. That's kind of his model of the run game. And I think that Coach Loggins, from my, I don't know, I haven't talked to him on, what he's, calling games as or what he's whatever, but it has a lot of Sean Elliott fingerprints on it. And I would be shocked. If Coach Elliott is not having a major impact, not only on scheme going into game, but also run game play calling. Hey, I want to run the ball here. Sean, what are you thinking? Kind of. And that happens. I mean, that happened all the time, whether it was Coach Spurrier or anybody. I mean, Coach Spurrier would be like, hey, I want to throw the ball here. GA, what do you see? Or Steve Jr., what are you seeing upstairs? Or Coach Elliott, I want to run. Are we running power or are we running inside? What are we, and he takes all it, right? And so I would be shocked if that was not happening right now. So I'm impressed. And defensively, you got guys that can rush the passer the way we do. You got a shot to play in every game, regardless of who you're playing. Be a little bit more consistent and firm in the run game. But all in all, a couple bad calls away, and maybe a few errant turnovers from being 4-0 and probably top 15 in the country.
If it wasn't for sacks, Carolina would be just 60 yards shy of already rushing for 1,000 yards this year, Perry. They have run the football 68.5% of the time. Do you think that – so you got, we know the slate that's coming up. It feels like Lenoris and Robbie have gotten more comfortable throwing the football. Do you anticipate that number staying as high as it is, or do you think it might balance itself out a little bit more?
I hope it stays as high as it is. We don't need to add any more to the plate of the quarterbacks of what we're already doing. The last two, really, golly, I mean, thinking back, I mean, the Kentucky, LSU, Akron, the game plans were, you start the game at Kentucky, giving Lenoris clear vision throws, moving the pocket, giving him, hey, throw it here, throw it away, or you run. Built his confidence up. Quick, easy throws to start drives to instill confidence into him. Same thing LSU. I mean, how many quick slants were we bang, bang, bang starting the game, running the football well, moving the ball down the field, which then once the young guys get confidence, then you can start getting into the drop back world, start and push the ball down the field, start getting into that progression world because he's got confidence to do it, right? Then you flip to last week and running Ashford, opening up big plays down the field, and he threw it accurately, and we hit him. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of complaints right now. I mean, regardless of wins and loss, I look at the loss we had, and I thought offensively, the amount of time, balance. What did Mike Leach say? Balance isn't running the ball 50% of the time and passing 50% of the time. He said balance is calling plays at work. I thought that was just brilliant. I know he's one of a kind, but he's right.
Well, that was funny because I was going to say, I mean, is this kind of what balance looks like when you have that athleticism at quarterback? Is it's going to be a little heavier on the run side because you're just scheming it up that way because maybe he's a 60% more athletic runner than he is a passer at this time?
I don't know if it's like he's 60% better here or 40 here. I think it's more of when you have the ability to run the quarterback, it opens your offense to, let's just say for flat numbers, you get 50 plays in a game. Okay. If you have a pocket passer, you really can only run it with the back, right? Let's say, for easy numbers, half the time you're running, half the time you're passing 50 plays. You got 25 pass, 25 rush. 25 of those runs are going to be with either the running back or some type of a jet sweep. And then you got 25 passes. Well, if you add the quarterback run in there, let's call it 10 times, right? Let's say he takes 7 pass attempts from the 25 and 3 additional runs. Well, now you're only throwing it 18 times. So that's only 18 times that the quarterback has to make some cerebral decision that could ultimately impact the game. Well, if of those 18 times, if you call 10 quick game or bubbles or screens, now you've limited and shrunk that down to you're only putting your quarterback, you're only giving him 8 passes, 8 plays in the entire game that require some kind of next level thinking. Well, then if you limit it to move the pocket, throw it or run it, then you cut that down by a couple plays. So now you're really giving him, 6 to 8 plays a game where he can really, for lack of a better term, F it all up, right? And so once he's developed that confidence and he's got the ability and the cerebral capabilities to make those throws, make those decisions, you look up after the course of the game and you've really done your part as a play caller to keep the ball out of jeopardy.
Perry, really quick. I know we probably got to go, JB, but I want to fire this one at Perry really quick. So Perry, when you're watching film as a quarterback or as a coach or as a defensive coach, and you have those roll out the pockets, throw or run type plays, obviously the wide receivers, tight ends, they're still running routes and you're paying close attention to that. What is that mindset like of making that decision after watching film of maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that? And what are our defensive coordinators looking at the game plan going forward?
Yeah. So with a quarterback, it's just going back to identifying the coverage, right? And then when you're on the move, you have your reads for that play, right? That it's if you get this coverage and we have this play called, these are my reads. This is the area of the field, right? So like if you let's go back in time to the touchdown that Sellers threw to Bennett when he kind of went right, then they all boot left and he threw the corner out for a touchdown. Kentucky was in quarters, right? Cover 4. So there's really no flat defender, but number two receiver presses 10 yards of depth, that safety should be covering that number 2 guy. Well, the safety didn't. Safety decided that he was going to turn and run with the post. Well, when the corner came open, there was nobody there, right? So it was an easy throw. So he's roll out clear vision. What I mean by clear vision, there's no offensive line in front of you. So you just have like you're throwing with somebody in the backyard. It's just you and the receiver and the defender, whoever's trying to cover him. Well, defender didn't cover anybody, so it was a wide open throw. You just flick it out there and make the catch and run the end zone. Then from a defensive coordinator standpoint, you just have to, when you're moving the pocket, defensive coordinators have to make sure that their guys are not in over pursuit. Because you think, right, you're sitting there watching the TV and you're like, oh, well, they're rolling out right. Why is not everybody and their mother scrolling, screaming to the right to cover? Like you got a guy running vertical, but the quarterback's rolling out. Well, of course, the guy's eventually going to break out, right? Number one, you don't know when that is. But number two, if you over pursue, 9 times out of 10 guys, if you're rolling the pocket, there's going to be somebody from the backside scraping along in hopes of that over pursuit, right? The big thing that you can help yourself from a defensive standpoint too on the rollouts is you've got to have somebody to set the edge, right? Well, if the tackle pins you or you're rolling out and the tackle's got you and the back comes back and kind of cleans you up, gives you that clear throw. It's hard. It's hard to stop rollout passes because then if you do cover everybody and you have a guy like Sellers or an Ashford, they're going to turn it upfield and try to get 2 or 3 or if not more, right? So it presents a lot of issues more than maybe most defensive people think.
So football is complex, right, Perry? It's not just Madden.
No, very easy. It's so easy, guys. It's like just pitch and catch, man. Just get out there and do it.
I could have sworn that all the people I've sat around for 30 years.
Well, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say about this. When you talk about football's complex, not complex. I know we're joking around here. I like to look at what's the market holding. Okay, we're paying our coordinators at South Carolina over $1 million a year. Do you think what they do is important?
Yeah, that's kind of what that says.
Yeah,
I'm no brain scientist, but 2 and 2, I'm gonna put them together. It doesn't equal 3. I don't go to Clemson. It's 4. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's right.
Good math there to round out.
Hey, I'm it's crazy how smart I am. If you didn't already know, it's unreal.
No, well, I know how smart. I've seen your wife. You're a very smart guy. Yeah,
I'm just a good salesman.
Beautiful.